You get 3 rolls on the tower, and each number corresponds to a random question that I have.
Okay, that's so fun. Should I do it?
Up here. Dice tower. Yeah, that's the cool thing about Dice Tower.
Oh my God, cool. 5.
Oh, you got meaty acting question to start here. This is one of my favorites. This is called favorite, least favorite. I want to know your single favorite part of the acting process, like putting a costume on, meeting your co-star, something like that. But then also not necessarily your least favorite, but just a part of the process where you still see room to grow for yourself.
Okay, I would probably say my favorite part is like by the end of a project, I feel like you kind of get to know the people so well. It's almost like camp. And as a kid, I never went to camp. So I feel like whenever I get to do like a movie like The Wrong Paris, it's like you're in a new place a lot of the time. We went to Canada to do the movie, and there's just something special about being with that group of people like in that moment in time. And yeah, I always feel like it's really like fun and memorable. And then least favorite, probably like on-screen kisses.
Oh, yes, I understand that.
I'd say that. Just not always, but just sometimes if it's like, for me, I've had to kiss like my best, like someone that's a close friend of mine and then like that I've known for 15 years, and that's a little weird.
Oh, the magic of acting. I truly don't know how you do a lot of it, which is why I love to sit here and celebrate your hard work, because my brain can't compute it sometimes. All right. Second roll of 3.
Ooh, okay.
All right. You got another meaty acting question. This one is high-low. Can you give me an audition high you've experienced? Super memorable time in the audition space. And then also, not necessarily, you'll notice I can't put negative spins on anything, so I try to find the light in all of it, but not necessarily an audition low, but just something you learned in the audition space that wound up coming in handy on future auditions.
Ooh, okay. I can't sing in an audition. I've learned that. I get way too nervous. And if it's like a musical project and I have to sing, I don't know what happens, but like I can go in and do a regular audition, no problem. But if I have to sing too, the nerves just overtake me.
Oh, that's so fascinating. Because like you've sung in front of countless people.
For some reason, singing in front of a crowd is so much less scary to me than singing in front of like 2 or 3 people in a room. I don't know why. Something bad happens. So never sing. That's one thing I learned for myself, not for other people. And then the other question was just like something good that happened.
I guess that was probably the low. So yeah, the high
that would
part.
Be the low. The high would be, so when I was little and I auditioned for the movie School of Rock, you had to actually have a musical talent, and I did sing for that audition, and then I ended up singing really badly in the movie, which was perfect. But yeah, I would say that was kind of, even though I was only 9 and it was a long time ago, I would say that was a high just because that was a really fun auditioning process. And I got to meet Jack Black at the final audition, and he was so funny. And like, I was just so excited to get to be a part of that, even to audition for it. So yeah, that's still a high for me.
Doing something badly in front of the camera that you're able to do well seems to be one of the most challenging acting feats to me. Like, I can't even imagine.
It was really easy and fun to sing bad. That was
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I had a really good time because it's like no pressure. You just get to try to be horrible.
I can see that. All right, you got your third and final roll on the tower.
5 again.
5. Oh, you get a free roll. Go get.
Cool. 6.
You get to roll again. I feel like you're hitting the ladies' night jackpot here.
What the heck?
What is it?
Oh, it's a 2.
2? All right. Oh, this is a nice question. I love this one. I just want to know a movie or a show you watched recently that inspires you creatively.
Okay, I just started rewatching the show Love on Netflix, and I love that.
I haven't thought about that one in forever.
I know,
love
and I
that
didn't
show.
remember it that well, so I mean, I love it and I remember it, but like not super well because I watched it such a long time ago, so it's just fun when enough time passes that you can rewatch something that you like so much.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night. Got Miranda Cosgrove here for The Wrong Paris. Huge congratulations on the new movie.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you.
Every single ladies' night begins with this particular question, but because you started so young, I'm curious to hear how your answer differs from what we typically hear. What is the movie, the performance you saw, or personal experience you had that made you know to your core, I have to be an actor?
Well, for me, it is kind of funny because I'm from LA and I started auditioning for things when I was like 3 years old. So I don't remember a lot of like when I first started, not acting, but just even auditioning or anything like that. But I will say probably I love Matilda. I love that movie.
I have heard that answer, and I
really?
get it. Yes.
Oh, no way. And I think watching her in that movie, I was like, oh, I want to be like that because I still, to this day, that's like my feel-good. I just love that movie so much.
We can bring up this connection because there's the Netflix connection. Have you watched the new Matilda?
I have. It was so good. Anything Matilda, I'm in.
I just love when I see the internet rally around a movie and like clip something out and recreate it. Like I just love when something in a movie shows me how incredibly talented so much of the world is, and watching people recreate certain dance moments from that movie is just
amazing.
Everything. Now I'm seeing it with K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of kids doing the.
So, have you watched that yet?
I haven't seen that yet.
Cannot recommend it enough.
Really? Okay, I need to
Cannot
watch.
recommend it enough, but also I will warn you, it's a movie that's very easy to get obsessed with, like the movie itself, but also the music. You won't be able to stop.
I love musicals, so I'm definitely going to check that out.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad I gave you the warning and that you're accepting of the risk if you put on K-pop Demon Hunters. So you started super young. One particular thing that I was reading was that you were discovered at 3, and like I don't know how much of that you actually remember, but what exactly does that mean to get discovered at such a young age?
Well, it's definitely very strange, but my mom used to go to this kind of like food festival in downtown LA, and I guess we were there at the food festival, and I don't know if it would really be like discovered, but I guess an agent came up to my mom and said, oh, like she actually said I have a lot of kids that are blonde that are like that I send out in auditions, and I don't have any brunette kids. So I think that was like the only like stipulation was that I had to be brunette. So yeah, I guess my hair color like worked in my favor that day.
So you get discovered super young, you start working super young. Do you remember the very first point that you realized that you really wanted to pursue it as a career? And I guess that like acting was a creative itch that you had to keep scratching.
Yeah, I would say when I was little, I was a lot less like sweet or like nice. I was a lot more like mischievous. I was kind of the one in school that was always like, I don't know, I was just more like sassy and like trying to like pull one over a lot. And I remember when I was maybe 8 or 9, I like was auditioning for more parts that were kind of like mean or like sassy, and like I really liked that. Or evil. I had like a lot of fun like getting to like channel that into like acting. So I think when I realized that I got to like say these lines and do things that I couldn't really get away with in real life, I was like, this is really fun. So I would say auditioning I was on a show on Nickelodeon called Drake and Josh, and I'm very evil on that show. And yeah, getting to even audition for it, I remember just thinking like, this is fun. Like I like this side.
I love how you say evil. In my mind's like Miranda should be the villain in a horror movie. But then obviously you veer towards Drake and Josh, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's not super really.
Not two different forms of evil right there.
The Exorcist.
I never really watched Drake and Josh, and admittedly iCarly, I missed everything by a little bit, but I was just reading or listening at least, because I don't read, I listen to audiobooks like crazy, but Josh's book is excellent.
Oh yeah, awesome.
What a wonderful listen. And he does the audiobook narration too, and it's just
cool.
really like
Josh.
brings you into someone's world in like a really like special, meaningful, and like deeply personal way that I appreciate.
Josh has a really interesting story too.
Oh my God.
And,
so many layers.
Yeah, and he's hilarious. I can't believe he started in stand-up. I saw some of his stand-up when he was a little kid recently. He's so tiny. It's crazy.
He is so talented from the very start. And I was also just, not to make this all about Josh, but I was just thinking about, like knowing what kind of stuff he was making, and then it was called Mean Creek, and I saw him do that, and I'm like,
he's amazing in that
dude's
movie.
got range, something else. So you brought up being like roughly 9 or 10 a little while ago, and that's making me think of something you brought up in another interview that I had watched. You mentioned that it wasn't until you were about that age that you started to get nervous in the audition space, and it was making me wonder, do you remember the very first audition you did where you realized like, well, shit, I'm nervous now?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe like around 10 or 11. I feel like I started to be like, I think I started to grasp what was going on more, like that you're actually going into a room and that people are like deciding if they want to really like pick you or not. And like, I think it's just crazy for a kid to like know they're being judged, I guess, by adults, which is the weirdest part for sure of auditioning. And that's why I'm so torn when it comes to kids acting in general, because I haven't had like I think I've had a mostly positive experience, but I know so many people haven't. And yeah, so it kind of, I feel torn because I know some kids really do love to act and probably have really good experiences and some don't. And of course there are like good and bad things about it, like anything, but.
It's another thing my brain can't compute, especially as like, I am an adult and I still can't handle being judged by like my peers and people in my space and then like a young kid going through that. It's something else. So at that age, what are some, I guess, like techniques or ideas did you keep in mind in order to combat that and make sure you weren't only delivering your best work in the audition space, but I guess you were enjoying that part of the process too?
Yeah, I think one thing I will say about being a kid and auditioning, at least with my experience, I think it's scarier as an adult just because you fully understand 100% every aspect of it as an adult. And that I do think I'm more nervous now when I audition than I was when I was a kid. Because there is an element of when you're a kid, there's just an innocence to it where you're kind of just like, you know, like I can have fun with this and leave and not like think about it anymore. And I think as an adult, you get more in your head.
So I'll evolve the question. What do you do now as an adult to calm the nerves?
As an adult, I try to tell myself before I go in, like, just to enjoy the moment and that it's not, like, going to affect – the scary thing is sometimes getting a part can affect your life so much. Like, it can totally change your life. So – but sometimes when I haven't gotten a part and I've been really sad about it, I've realized later, like, that genuinely wasn't right for me or, like, it wouldn't have been the right thing in my life at that moment anyway. So I think just trying to keep things in perspective that way. I mean, you're still bummed if you audition for something you love and you don't get it. But I think, just thinking of it like it's kind of that day, that moment. And it's just like it's a chance to get to do like the scenes no matter what, too. You get like a shot.
That was one of the most memorable things I think anybody in the studio has ever said to me about their process with auditioning is that it's not about getting the role or not. It's about appreciating it as, you know, an opportunity to further hone your craft and play as an actor. Like you still gain so much from, even if it's just one scene and it doesn't continue on, you still did that scene and you learned from it.
Yeah, and you meet people. And sometimes I do feel like people remember you and think of you for something else someday down the line. Like it all kind of leads somewhere in the end.
Oh, it's so true. I have jumped way ahead. I want to go back. I have to ask a question about School of Rock. Watch that movie more times than I can count. I love it so much. Your first feature film, and I know that a first feature experience can make an indelible impression on someone. So now as an adult thriving in this industry, looking back on that experience, what is something about it that makes you say, I am so glad my first feature film was on that set with those people?
I will say that out of all the things I got to do as a child, School of Rock will always be the thing that I look back and I'm like, that was kind of a perfect experience. And you don't get a lot of those. And I realize that now as an adult that it only becomes more special to me because I stayed friends with all of the kids from the movie who are not kids anymore. But I got to stay friends with all of them and just getting to be on a set like that as it really shaped who I am. Like it made me love acting in a way I don't think I would have loved it if I hadn't been there. And
can I ask you to elaborate on that? What did you love most about acting going into that experience and how did that kind of evolve coming out of it?
Well, I think for one thing, getting to be around so many kids that I felt like I had so much in common with because I loved school and I went to public elementary school and I had friends in school, but it wasn't the same as that experience on that movie. Like it made me feel like more confident in myself. It made me I just felt like I had a network of friends and like people that I could talk to afterward. And also like getting to travel to all around the world. I hadn't really traveled much at 9 and getting to travel with friends and be a part of something that people really loved so much. That was just, I felt really lucky. And and I think as I got older, I understood it even more. I was like, wow, like I was really lucky to get to like have that experience and be in that movie.
Camp vibe that you were talking about earlier. It's something about like this found community that can happen when you shoot any film or show. I love that.
For sure. Oh, and I didn't know improv existed until I did the movie. Because Jack Black improvs a lot. And you never know what he's going to do, and he does different things every time in the scenes, and it's exciting because you don't know what's going to happen next.
You'll hear me bring this up a lot during our conversation. I'm fascinated by the variety of acting techniques out there. When he kind of first presented you with an improv moment, how did you react? Because, like, again, there's many things about acting that I am in awe of. I would think improv would be one of the most honestly terrible for me, but terrifying to experience for the very first time if I wasn't fully prepared for it. And as I say that, improv is something you shouldn't be fully prepared for.
Well, I totally get where you're coming from because I'm a person that likes to plan everything out. I'm very type A, but
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. But the thing that I loved about it was I didn't have to improv. I just got to sit there in the scene and I got to be excited about not knowing what was going to come next. So I don't know if I'm great with improv or anything like that, but it was just it was so fun. And also Robert, who he plays piano in School of Rock, none of us were really actors. We're all just kids getting to do this act for the first time. And Robert would always break and laugh, and all of the kids knew that he was going to be the one that laughed because he couldn't hold it in. But yeah, I have like so many memories of Robert just like losing it when we were making the movie.
One thing I'll just say, jumping ahead to The Wrong Paris, I love the fact that your end credits include bloopers. Can we just make that a regular thing to include bloopers again in an end credits?
I love bloopers. I always like to go on YouTube and watch the blooper reels and stuff. Sometimes I like the bloopers even more than what I'm watching. I'm like, this is so fun to see what they were like behind the scenes.
I'll enjoy a blooper reel anytime, anywhere, in any format. But I will say, after watching, like, you are the headliner, but it's also got a really great ensemble feel. Watching everybody like play together after going through that experience, it's like you almost like earn the blooper reel in a way that makes it extra special.
Yeah, for sure. And there are so many girls in the movie that they're so good. And they have so many different crazy personalities. So
I'm going to get
really
to
fun.
that. I cannot wait to talk about all of their different, very unique approaches to their works. They all play such different characters too. Going back to Nickelodeon, so you do School of Rock, and after that was a pretty steady stream of Nickelodeon opportunities. And I don't fully know how that space works. So I guess my first big burning question is, like, one, how do you break into a space like that? And once you do, is it basically a situation where like you're constantly being fed auditions and waiting for certain things to hit?
Honestly, I didn't audition that often during the time I was on Nickelodeon because I don't know if it was because of this, but I think maybe it was because when you're on Nickelodeon or Disney, I feel like you kind of become a part of that network and that space, and then they kind of give you a lot of opportunities within Nickelodeon or within Disney. So I didn't really audition for that many other things. I remember mostly just I was on Drake and Josh, that show first. I did the pilot when I was 8, and then, so I actually did the pilot for that right before School of Rock, and then I found out it got picked up, and I got to go do that with Josh and Drake. And then I found out when I was maybe 12 that the producer of that show was going to make iCarly, the other show I was on. So he kind of said, I came up with this idea, and I was super excited, and then it kind of like went from there. And the idea changed a lot. The idea was originally I was on a TV show. My character had been cast on this TV show and kind of became famous overnight. And it completely changed to a web show because at the time nobody really had YouTube channels or anything like that, and it was a newer idea.
Fascinating.
But it was crazy because I remember when I was 12 and they were telling me the idea for the show, and they said, we changed it and we want it to be a web show now. I was like, what's a web show? I remember thinking I want to be on a TV show. I like the other idea, which is so not that. Like the other idea has been done a lot versus something totally unique. But it's funny, as a kid, I was like, I don't really know what that means or what that is even.
Fascinating how things change over the, like, I still think about the beginning of our journey on this side of the industry where it's like we're movie blogs, and then it's the pivot to video, and now we're all like, real companies doing this professionally. It's just wild how things evolve, and, from YouTube to social media, and who knows what's going to come next.
I know. I'm excited to see because it could literally go anywhere.
Really, I hope whatever direction it goes in, I hope it is for the better. For the better, for the quality of work and everybody making that work. Digging into iCarly a little, as you were saying that other answer, so many follow-up questions popped up in my head. So you were so young when you started that show. Do you remember the very first moment making it, either in the prep phase or maybe even on set, when, I don't know, I guess you kind of found confidence in yourself. Like I am the lead of this show and I deserve this opportunity?
Well, I remember it was really I was really nervous when I started iCarly because I was going from playing this evil character that I felt very comfortable playing. And I was always excited to see what the lines were for the Megan role because I got to, like I said, be kind of mean to everyone. And then I had to play this character that was so different, that was supposed to be like very likable and nice. And I remember just during the pilot, that was a little bit of a struggle because I really am not the snarky mean one at all on that show. And it just wasn't my comfort zone at first. So it took me a little while just to wrap my head kind of around that. And then I remember, because we do rehearsals for the first few days of the week and then shoot the last 2 days. So the first few days when we would be rehearsing, I remember for the pilot, I just remember the director coming over to me and saying, "You're doing a really good job, but nobody can hear you." Because I guess I was basically saying the lines so quiet that no one could hear me. And at the time, like as a kid, I was like, well, at least they think I'm doing a good job, but I just need to talk louder. But later when I got older, I was like, if they couldn't hear me, how did they know I was doing a good job? I must have just been really nervous at first. But yeah, I definitely got way more confident as the show went on and a lot more. I knew how to do it after a while and I felt really good about it.
That is the right way to deliver a note to not only a young actor, but really any actor.
It's a very nice way of putting it. You're doing incredible, but we can't hear you.
Necessary note to give, but delivered in a package that is inspiring and makes one feel good. Again, you are headlining a show so young. You've just come from Drake and Josh. Is there anything about, I guess, how the tops of the call sheet operated on that set that heavily influenced how you wanted to impact the environment on the iCarly set?
I mean, as a kid, I just felt like it's hard. Like now as an adult, for sure, when I work on things.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
You know when somebody on set maybe isn't the greatest or when like you clock it right away as an adult. But as a kid, I spent most of my time with Jeanette and Nathan, who played my two best friends on the show, and Jerry, who plays my brother. And most of my time was really with them. I did like all my schooling with Jeanette and Nathan. And I think for me, that kind of protected me from some of the crazier stuff that was going on, kind of just focusing on like, being friends with the other kids. And yeah, and I feel like I still have all those friendships now. So I know I keep bringing it kind of back to the same thing, but for me, it is really a theme that I've taken a lot of like my best friends from working over the years. And I guess it's not anything that crazy because I didn't go to middle school or high school. And I feel like a lot of people get all their friends from high school or college. And you kind of know those people forever. But I just met my friends in different ways.
I totally get that. I'm a big believer in filmmaking families. I know every set can't be this way, and it's okay when it's not. But I don't know. I just often find when like you're working with friends and you just have that deep love and respect for the people you're working with, both in front of and behind the camera, you can kind of see the effects of that radiating off screen in the finished product. And I don't know. I hold very, very tight to those vibes.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've been rewatching the show Friends, and I know everybody loves that show, but I, for some reason, didn't really watch it until recently, and I got super into it. And obviously I get it, like, because you can tell that they love each other. And I think, yeah, a lot of my favorite things are like that. I feel like I could be totally wrong, but I always feel like the things I like the most, it seems like the people like were really like that in real life.
I think about that a lot. I could definitely name a couple of filmmaking families that like at this point, thanks to the interviewing space, like at least I think I know are authentic and I love them dearly for it. Leaning into schooling now, one really curious step that you took was iCarly wraps up and you decide to go to college. And I love bringing up when people study in college. Usually we're talking about studying acting. That is not the route you pursued. And I feel like more often than not, when someone is already fully entrenched and very successful in this industry, the path is to keep at it. But you opted to study at USC. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision-making process, if it was even a weighing a one path or the other at all, or did you know that no matter what, I had to get a degree?
I definitely did weigh it a bit at the time, but it all kind of fell into place pretty naturally because the show was coming to an end right around the time when I would start college. And when I first started acting, my parents really wanted me to save money to go to college. So it was always, the dream was save enough money and then I won't have to pay off loans later and I'll be able to go to the college I want to. So I always had that in the back of my mind. So to me, when it was time to go, I sort of felt like that was just always the plan. I was a little tiny bit worried at the time because a lot of people, when you take a break, then it's hard to kind of come back. And I wasn't sure if I was going to find anything that I loved as much as acting. And my main goal going to college was not just for the experience, since I did miss regular middle school and high school, but also to see if there was anything else I was really interested in. And I found pretty quickly that there wasn't anything I loved as much as acting. So I'm still really happy that I did that. And I feel like if I hadn't done it, I would probably always wonder. And also I did meet a ton of people. I got to be in class, and I kind of missed high school because a lot of my friends were from elementary school when I did go, and they all got to have those experiences and prom and all those things. And I didn't want to miss out on having the college experience.
Totally get that. So you ultimately got a degree in psychology?
Yeah, so it's so funny. I switched it so many times. When I first started at USC, I was going to be in theater, and which doesn't really go with trying to figure something else out. I was like, but I did think maybe I could be in a play, or I could try to do something like that. But then I immediately realized it wasn't for me. I get too nervous to be on stage. So I didn't do that. And then I switched to film for a while. And then, I ended up landing on psychology, which was just because I had to take a psychology class. It was just a standard psychology class. And I was like, wow, I actually love this.
I feel like there's a lot about studying psychology that probably feeds into your work as an actor, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I just find psychology really fascinating. When I was in the class, I was like, this is the most interested I've been in any class that I've taken here. So it kind of just fell into place.
I love that. So you mentioned that at USC you kind of dabbled in theater a little bit, and it was just making me curious again because I love the variety of techniques and opportunities one can have to learn in your line of work. Have you ever taken any kind of acting classes or particular training? And if so, what was it like finding the right techniques that work for you?
Yeah, definitely. As a kid, I took acting classes all the time. I went to different acting classes with groups with a lot of other kids. Sometimes I would do it one-on-one. I coached with acting coaches specifically for auditions. So I had a lot of help from different people as a kid, and two different acting coaches in particular that I really loved. And then now as an adult, I've done a couple acting classes, but mostly I coach one-on-one with people still.
Oh, well, can you tell me a little bit about your acting coaches and maybe what it is about how they teach that well aligns with how you like to take and apply notes with your work?
Yeah, so when I auditioned for School of Rock, I had an acting coach named Ingrid, and she really kind of changed my life in a lot of ways because she made it really fun. And I love comedy. I always have. I haven't done a lot of drama, and also, I just love watching comedy, so I've always kind of leaned in that direction. And she just made doing comedy a blast. She would throw out all sorts of different ideas. She never made me feel dumb for trying things in a crazy way, or if something didn't come out really great. And I just remember going to work with her and being excited. So yeah. And I had gone to people before that I just didn't click with, or it wasn't that fun. So when I met her, she really, she made me realize what I loved about it.
I love hearing that story. It's again, there's a million different paths you could pursue to train in your craft, and it's just about finding the thing that clicks. Here was a top priority thing to ask you about, also because The Wrong Paris marks an opportunity for you to EP. So two questions about that. Do you remember the very first moment in your career when you realized it is important to me to be involved in the productions that I'm working on in that capacity?
Well, honestly, getting to do the revival of iCarly, I feel like that helped me a lot on a personal level because I didn't have any say as a kid. And most adults even don't really have a say when they're on a show, on the lines they're saying, or, it's hard you don't really have a whole lot of control over that most of the time. So getting to come back in a new way and kind of experience it again with the people that I loved, the cast of the show, that was really special. And also it was my first time getting to be an executive producer, and I felt like I got to work with the showrunner really closely. And even with people who auditioned, I got to watch all the auditions and help like cast people, and I just felt like really they included me in everything, and it felt really great. And Nathan and Jerry, and we got to work more like as a team and figure out what we really wanted for the characters, and that's something that I never thought I'd get to do with those characters in that show. So yeah, that was my first, and it was a great first experience as an executive producer because I was surrounded by people that I knew really well.
That truly is one of the best ways to jump into that particular role. One particular thing that I did want to follow up on, I was watching your conversation with Josh on his YouTube channel, and the idea of residuals came up. I don't want to dig into that, but I am very curious, when you step into an EP role on that revival, what are some ways you wanted to advocate for yourself and your co-stars, and maybe what particular points were most important to you to get in order to make sure everyone felt their worth on that set?
I would say one of the craziest parts of coming back and doing that show again was having a new character on the show that was a child, because there's only one kid on the show, Jaden, but it was such an interesting experience being the adult watching a kid after having that experience myself. And that was really important to me, that she always felt good and that she felt really safe on the set, and that everything was just always, that people were always looking out for her. And I feel like she's one of the nicest like kids you'll ever meet, and everybody loved her. But also it's just hard when you're a kid and you're in an adult space, like doing a job that adults do. It's just really complicated. So yeah, I would say that was the most important thing to me, that she was always having a good time and that she actually wanted to be there.
So glad she had you in her corner. Taking a step forward now, this kind of connects to how I was asking the question about Nickelodeon earlier, but before The Wrong Paris, you did Mother of the Bride. Is that the kind of situation where, like, once you have a foot in the Netflix romantic comedy world, like, you're kind of automatically considered for other opportunities in the future?
It's funny because when I did that movie, I love romantic comedies, but I didn't think that it was going to necessarily lead to another opportunity. But then the producer of the movie, his name is Brad, he had this idea for The Wrong Paris. And it's crazy how so many things end up working that way, like with the show Drake and Josh, and then getting a show that's the same creator. And then, and then with doing Mother of the Bride, and I met Brad, and then he had this idea. It kind of fell into place. But yeah, I mean, I do think that when people are in some rom-coms on Netflix, it does seem like they definitely do a few, or they get to be a part of that world if they're well liked.
And like, the people in charge of all that have good instincts. I mean, watching that particular genre thrive on Netflix right now is like a cool and important thing. Actually, I will pose that question to you, because if I'm being completely honest, when The Wrong Paris came my way, like, I love all movies. Like, I love horror. I love monster movies. I love Jurassic Park. I didn't think this was going to be for me. And then I watched it, and I don't know, like, at a big old grin on my face. I just kind of felt like a little lighter. I had a really good time. From your perspective, why do we need movies like this?
Well, thanks. And,
I mean it.
Yeah, I think that life is really heavy sometimes, and I think that getting to just kind of get away for a little bit, it's a huge part of my life is like going to the movies. I love actually sitting in the movie theater, watching a movie, and comedy. And I feel like it can get me out of a rut. It can take a bad day and make it way better. So yeah, when I was making the movie, I had a really good time, and I was hoping that when people watched it, that they just have a good time and that they think it's fun and that it makes them feel lighter. So that's really nice.
Great success. Backing up to the very beginnings of the project now, when you were first presented with the idea, what was it about, the concept, but also this character that made you think, like, yes, we could all be a good fit?
Well, one of the things is kind of going back to what I was talking about before. I like, not obviously really evil or really mean, but it was exciting to me to play a character that's not just sweet and nice. And she doesn't always do the right thing, even though she has a good heart. She also sometimes messes up. She's very flawed. So I just thought it'd be fun to get to play a character like that. And also I was really excited about all the girls that are in the movie. Like when I read the script, I was like, this is such a good opportunity to have so many different characters and fun people. So, yeah, just getting to work with all of them, I think that was a big draw.
Oh, I'll lean into that next because you have a wonderful ensemble around you. This is a really big acting question again because I love that everyone can have a different approach to the work. Can you tell me the two co-stars in this movie with the most polar opposite approach to their work where when you're their primary scene partner, you know you're going to have a different acting experience?
I would say... Okay, Veronica Long, who plays like the really tough biker chick in the movie, she could not be any less like that character. And that was just fun getting to know the real her and then see her transform into this like tough, crazy girl. And also she improvs a lot and would always do different things in every scene. So she would just do crazy things with her lines. You never know what was going to happen. And that was really fun.
I got that vibe. And then I feel like the blooper reel confirmed it.
Yeah. She just adds so much to everything. And she was really fun. And then I would say one of my best friends is Hannah Stocking, who's in the movie. She plays Eve, the one that's really obsessed with Pearson and almost like stalking him and wants to have his baby. But I love her because she's one of my best friends, but also I think she did an awesome job, and she was really fun to do scenes with.
I'll build on that a little, given the fact that you're friends. I'm sure you know she's super talented, but what's one particular thing you saw her do on this set that made you stop and go like, my God, I knew you were going to be good, but I never realized you'd be capable of that?
I would say just she came up with lines just on the spot. She did some improv and it totally ended up in the movie. Like, I feel like so many times people improv and maybe one thing will end up in, but almost most of Hannah's lines in the movie she just came up with, and I think that's another talent in itself. So I was really impressed by that.
I love that. I also have to ask about Pearson because I didn't realize this, but I was doing my research and I was reading, information about him, and his first role ever was in iCarly.
I know, isn't that so weird?
Have you two stayed in touch since then, or was this just a big coincidence?
No, we just met when we were, I think, maybe 14 and 15. It was like toward the beginning of iCarly, and he was in a Halloween episode. I do remember meeting him, but that was the one time we met, and then all these years later, now we're in this movie together, and it's crazy that was his first experience acting in LA, and it's kind of come full circle now.
Do you remember the very first thing you saw him do, either in prep or on set, that made you think to yourself, like, we are the perfect partners for a movie like this, especially because, like, a romantic comedy lives or dies based on that palpable chemistry between the two leads.
For sure. Well, we did all these different screen tests for the movie, and when he came into the screen test, that was when I was like, okay, this movie is going to work. It's going to be good because he just, I don't know, it was perfect when he did it. And yeah, he's a great person to get to work with. And it was funny because when I was in Canada, when we were filming the movie, I was putting up a lot of stories on my Instagram, and all my girlfriends in LA are like, who is that? They were like, who is this
I get
man?
it.
Because he's so tall and he's so charming, and he's literally 6. He makes me look so short. I'm not even that short, I swear. He's just the tallest person.
I could tell he is extremely tall in this movie.
Yeah.
That's something else. So another thing that I think is so important to the success of a movie like this is being able to hit that pitch perfect tone, because it just seems to me like part of the success of a movie like this is leaning into the heightened nature of it and playing into the appeal of the fantasy. But I was also really impressed by how you all kept it just grounded enough. So what was it like kind of hitting that pitch perfect balance between the two things?
Well, I love sketch comedy, and I love SNL, and I when I was younger, I got to always play characters on iCarly. So I love campy, crazy. I love stuff like that. So some of my favorite parts of getting to do the movie are the sillier parts. Like, I really liked getting to react to Pearson washing the horse shirtless, or the slow motion fan in your hair, type scenes. I like that kind of thing a lot. So yeah, those were definitely some of the more fun things. But you're right, it's definitely a balance. And I feel like if the whole movie was that, it wouldn't really work.
Is there a particular moment or a whole scene where it was the toughest to calibrate, like which way to teeter more so one than the other?
I would say, yeah, probably the scene toward the beginning of the movie where me and my family are all in the kitchen, and my grandma gives me a whole speech about how I should go for it and try for my dream and believe in myself. I feel like that one, because you still want the funny moments, but it's kind of a more serious thing between my character and my grandma. So that one I remember took a second to figure out exactly how to get that one. And then other than that, probably there's a more serious scene when I finally decide to just kind of let go, and Pearson's character takes me out to his kind of like hideaway in the movie. That one was another one where it's not very comedic. It was more on the serious side. And yeah, but yeah, I definitely enjoy I liked falling in the pool and riding, lassoing people and riding a bull. I like all that stuff.
What, were you okay at the mechanical bull riding?
We got to practice a lot, and we practiced on set. No, it is not easy, and it's funny because when I've seen people do it on the internet, I'm like, oh, how could that be that hard? I didn't realize it is so hard, even when it's going slow to stay on. But we did practice. We practiced on set a couple times, and then we actually all went out as a group to kind of like a dive bar that had one in Canada, which was so random. But yeah, we did it like out in the world too, and it was really fun.
I used to go to one all the time when I was in college because that was the thrill of it, was trying to ride the mechanical bull. And now a little older, oh my God, I would be so embarrassed. I would fall off that bull in the weirdest ways possible, and I just would die inside.
I think we were all pretty nervous. That scene was so crazy and funny. They played really fun, crazy music when we all had to ride the bull, and we were all freaking out, like trying to stay on. I think my friend Hannah did the best, though. Yeah. She got like the right position on the bull and could not be... she did not fall off easy.
This is just making me think of a dicey question we ask every so often. But if you had the opportunity to learn a new skill or even about a different profession through a role, what would you choose and why?
Well, I had to learn to lasso for this movie. And it sounds silly, but it's really hard, really hard. And normally when you lasso, I guess you're on a horse and you're lassoing down to try to get cattle. Or maybe you're standing doing it, but you're going below, not higher. So like when I had to lasso Pearson, he's so tall. It's really hard to lasso up, for me at least. So I practiced so many times, and I started off practicing on things that were shorter, and then I built something in the apartment I had in Canada that was as tall as Pearson, and I would practice on that. And then I had Pearson come to the apartment, and I lassoed him in the apartment, and I kept hitting him in the face. He had rope burns, and he was just like, it's okay, like just keep trying. I even came back to LA for one weekend, and I tried to lasso my dad, which sounds really weird, but he didn't enjoy it very much. He was like, why can't you stack some chairs? Like, why do you? I'm like, it's not as fun.
It's not easy to do stuff like that. And I love how it's like those types of skills that are in a movie for a matter of seconds that you have to work the hardest
on for so long.
And then it's barely in the film.
I know, you barely see it at all. And same thing with, I got to actually learn to weld. But I do that for 2 seconds in the movie.
That's really cool,
It was fun, though. I took an actual class, and it was funny. I went and I took a group class. I just signed up online for one before I went to Canada, and there were all these older, tough-looking biker men that were in the class, and then it was me. And the first thing the teacher had us do was go around and say why we wanted to learn how to weld. And when it got to me and I said I'm trying to learn to weld for a movie, they all just started laughing at me. I was like, this is kind of amazing.
Did they know who you were?
They just thought I was a weirdo. They were like, why are you? There were a bunch of maybe 50, 60-year-old men that are trying to actually weld in their lives. And they were like, what is this weirdo doing here?
It's really it's an art form that fascinates me.
It's not easy.
No.
And there's something really calming about it because you have to have the thing on, and then you have to really concentrate on the one spot, and something about it, I don't know, it kind of, normally I'm a very anxious person, and it kind of made me feel
I
good.
love finding stuff like that centers me. My new obsession is not new, it's about a year old now. I have an obsession with hummingbirds, and I have my feeder outside, but one of the things that calms me or centers me or takes me out of work the most is I started to use a little hand feeder, and the only way you can get a bird to come to you is if like you're still, like you're breathing like quietly and calmly, and you're just standing there for a period of time.
Oh my God, that's cool. I love hummingbirds.
It's lovely. I'm obsessed with them. A sillier question had popped up in my mind. Oh, because the movie is about a reality show, and it's heavily emphasized that nobody eats in reality TV. So it was making me wonder, as an actor, what is the best on-screen meal you've ever had?
Ooh, this is a good question. I eat popcorn all the time on the iCarly revival, to the point where they stopped putting it in scenes because it would be distracting because I'd just be so into the popcorn.
I get that.
But one time I had a charcuterie board on something, and I love cheese.
Yeah.
So that was good. Sometimes it's hard if there's something really good in front of you because they don't have enough to keep replacing it, and you just want to eat it the whole time. But yeah, probably the cheese.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of foods that if I were an actor and it was on set, it would be dangerous. Popcorn is definitely one of them.
Because you just want to keep eating it.
You go to the Alamo Draft House and you get the bottomless popcorn, and I'm like, uh-oh, because I know I'll go through it.
In that metal bowl. It's
the best.
Good.
And the different flavors, too. It's the best. This is not an ad for the Alamo Draft House, but I love seeing movies there.
Good.
Because I just brought up the fact that this movie is about the making of a reality show. I'm really curious how it, I guess, complicates or challenges you as an actor when, like, all the blocking needs to sustain kind of a show within a movie. What kind of challenges does that pose?
Well, one thing that I actually think, it's not a challenge, so it doesn't answer the question perfectly, but it actually made things easier, was that we would film all the scenes, and then we'd film the scenes with the cameras that were supposed to be the cameras within the show. And I think when they were editing, it gave them a lot to cut to. And that was just really helpful, and it was something I didn't really think about that much when I was reading the script, that they were going to be doing these behind-the-scenes shots, and then it's the movie itself, and it's a little all over the place. And I think it was fun, though, because sometimes Office style, it'll like zoom in on someone's facial expression or some random thing that was never in the script. So that was just kind of fun. But I would just say the challenge was that we didn't want it to be exactly like The Bachelor, even though it's very similar to The Bachelor because it's a bunch of girls vying for this one guy's love. But it was fun getting to play the character, the one person that's not really in it for that, at least at the beginning.
Yeah, it's pretty effective watching her kind of weigh the two sides and, you know, without ruining anything. I love where you land between the two things.
Thanks.
I found that very refreshing. I got to wind down with you soon, so I'll end with these two questions. Here's a biggie. I just want one thing that still remains on your acting bucket list.
Ooh, acting bucket list. You said you like scary movies. I love scary movies. And
oh, no.
I was in a thriller once a long time ago, but I'd love to be in a super scary movie, like actually legitimately really scary.
Oh, I'll follow up on this. If you could pick the horror subgenre to work in, what subgenre would you choose and why?
Ooh, you mean like, I don't know,
like
slasher,
normal slasher, yeah.
I would probably want to do paranormal. I love Stranger Things. I love stuff like that, so that would be cool.
I have the Conjuring movie on the brain, which is coming up soon.
I love those movies.
I'm going to use the power of the manifestation table and will you a horror movie in the paranormal subgenre. So this is the question we end every single ladies' night with. I love the thought, so I will never stop asking it. In film and television, we give each other awards, and I do think that's great. We should keep on doing that. I find no one in this business stops and tells themselves, good job, as much as they should. So I want to know something you accomplished making the wrong Paris that you know you're always going to be able to look back on and say, you know what, I'm really proud of what I did there.
I would say lassoing Pearson.
I respect that answer.
That I learned to lasso someone that's 6'7". I'm proud of that.
You put in the work and it paid off, so I like that answer. I'm going to say huge congrats on everything you've accomplished on The Wrong Paris, everything coming your way in the future.
Thank you.
Come on back to Ladies' Night soon.
Thanks so much. It was awesome meeting you.